Hello and welcome to the interview on France 24. We're in Addis Ababa at the African Unity Summit. Our guest today is the Secretary-General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. Welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Mr. Guterres, many topics on the agenda. I will start with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Elections were held. They are disputed by many, not by the UN. To such an extent that some are wondering whether you didn't sacrifice democracy on the altar of stability.
The United Nations was not in charge of organizing the elections. The United Nations has no way of verifying the results of the elections. Our objective is to help the Congolese people in every way, in every field, especially against all those in the Congo and in the east of Congo in particular, are imperiling, are endangering the lives of Congolese people. And now there's a major operation against the Ebola epidemic. Naturally, it's a country, it is for the member states of the United Nations to recognize or not to recognize governments. This government has been broadly recognized, and our duty is to work as well as possible to help to create the right conditions for national reconciliation so that the Congo can have a more stable political life, capable of creating the right conditions to solve the deep problems which are numerous and decisive for Africa. The Congo is such a large country. It's at the center of the continent with many neighboring countries. Having a Congo capable of contributing to peace is important in Africa.
Aren't you concerned by the fact that those elections are not regarded as being just and transparent by many? Well, there seems to be a problem.
Unfortunately, across the world, there are many elections where there is still a lot of doubt about the elections,
including this one.
But I believe, as I have said, we did not have a mandate to organize the elections. It is up to the member states, not the Secretary-General of the United Nations, to recognize or not government. Our duty now is to do everything to make sure the situation in Congo will make it possible for democratic life, reconciliation, and make it possible to respond effectively to the problems, very serious problems, facing this country.
Well, you're meeting here with President Tshisekedi, so for it to be really inclusive, you should probably have also a kind of reconciliation with the individual pretending having won the election, Mr. Fayulu. So from the UN side, are you in favor?
I'm always in favor of dialogue, inclusive dialogue between the political protagonists.
Are you going to talk to the other side?
Of course, we will talk about the value of this inclusive dialogue in Congo, because I believe in any country it's always very important, independently of the results of the elections, to have an inclusive dialogue which makes it possible to create the conditions in favor of stability.
Congo for UN, it's MONUSCO. We know that the outgoing president, Joseph Kabila, didn't want of it anymore. According to your first discussion with the entourage of the new president, you have the feeling that he's not on the same wavelength and he wishes MONUSCO to go on.
I think the conditions exist for cooperation between MONUSCO and the Congo be effective and positive in future. And for our part, we'll do everything we can in this direction.
So the signals are in the green for that point of view?
I think so. And for our part, we will do everything we can for MONUSCO to be as useful as possible to the Congolese people.
Central Africa, there was an agreement signed. It's not the first one. Many hope that it will be the last one. Do you think that this time will be different?
I hope that the answer is yes, for two reasons. First of all, because there is an effective African Union mediation through the United Nations, because the neighboring countries have committed themselves very clearly.
This is something new?
In the past, the relationship between the Central African Republic and the neighboring countries were difficult and complex, as you know. But this time, everybody is unanimous to do everything to stabilize Central Africa. And this shows something very interesting. In my view, and I said so yesterday, there is a wind of hope, a wind of change in Africa. We signed an agreement in South Sudan. We are working on an agreement in Libya. We're still a long way off, but we're working on it. A ceasefire has been set up in the capital. And there has been also in Central Africa an agreement, a very important agreement. Many elections exist to prevent. We were expecting violence in Congo, Madagascar, Mali, but these elections, irrespective of other considerations about the results, these elections were held in peaceful conditions. On the one side, the African Union, on the other hand, the United Nations are working together, are really succeeding in solving conflicts, in solving problems, and in preventing conflicts. And this is very important for the international community to support Africa in terms of peace and security, but also in terms of development, because this is what is necessary. And we will have an opportunity to talk about this. There is a region which is a key region for cooperation. It's the Sahel.
Obviously, I was getting to that. Sahel, obviously. Before moving to Mali, I'd like to say a word about Burkina Faso. There is an increase of terrorist attack. It became as regular like in Mali. Burkina Faso, is it the weak link of Sahel?
No, I wouldn't say the weak link, but it is a country that does have a serious security problem.
It's something new.
This is relatively new. But if we look back, since 2013 until now, the change in the presence of terrorist groups, the evolution in the Sahel, there has been a permanent expansion, so that today even countries on the coast feel threatened. Senegal, Nigeria, they feel threatened. And I think we must say very clearly that neither the security system that has been put in place nor the efforts made by the international community for development are sufficient to fight effectively this growth in the terrorist capability in the Sahel, which has consequences that go beyond.
They are winning for the present.
They are not winning. They are progressing for the moment. The expansion of their action is more dangerous and expanding. What should we do? We are strengthening the capability, operational capability of the UN mission in the Mali, which is a peacekeeping mission. There's the French force, Barkhane, which plays a very important role, but which has a limited dimension. And there's the G5 Sahel. I wanted this G5 Sahel with a robust mandate and with guaranteed funding.
Which is not the case. The United States opposed it.
It's a pity, because we need a force, an African force, which is really capable of fighting effectively terrorism.
The United States don't want to move. Do you have still hope?
The U.S. have not yet accepted this vision of a vision under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter with guaranteed funding. I hope that one day this vision will be accepted, because in my view, in the context of the Sahel and Lake Chad, and in the context of Somalia, in the face of terrorist actions, there is no need for the UN troops to be involved. They are there to keep the peace, and they make big sacrifices for those who are involved in peacekeeping. But there are some regions which require forces that impose peace to fight against terrorism. There won't be any volunteers. These will be African forces. The international community must support Africa, because the consequences of the expansion of terrorism in those regions will go much further than Africa. In the Mediterranean, Europe also is threatened by what is going on, and in Libya and the Sahel.
You're ringing the bell.
Yes, I'm ringing the alarm bells, really. We really must seriously invest in security and in the development of the Sahel region.
Last topic, we're moving away from Africa, not so far, but Yemen. Those agreements were signed. Question, since the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, do you have the feeling that the Saudis are more listening about Yemen?
I'm not going to make any comparisons. I would like to say that in the negotiations we've had with Saudi Arabia and with the Emirates and with the Houthis and with the Hadi government, Saudi Arabia has played a very positive role in order to have the agreement in Stockholm.
It's new.
And now, for us to be able, there are enormous difficulties so that we can materialize this agreement.
Are you concerned? Are you optimistic?
Well, we haven't got there yet. There's still a long way to go. But I believe there is a will of both parties to follow the line of peace. But there is still a lot of mistrust between the two parties. And this mistrust naturally makes it very difficult to get results or in terms of agreements, especially when they concern control over land.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary-General. Thank you for watching this interview from Addis Ababa at the headquarters of the African Union. Thank you.